Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We still have some people here who are joining in on the session, so we are going to give it a quick 30 seconds to a minute here just to allow people to get in, get settled. Thank you. All right, I think we have quorum here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We are delighted that you could join us today for the webinar, Protecting Your Entire Journey on Google Cloud. Our hosts today are Satya Sankaran, Head of Cloud Products, and Marco Libanovic, Director of Sales Engineering. So we hope you enjoyed today's session, and over to you, Satya.
Hey, thanks, John, and thanks everyone for your time and attention. Look forward to walking you through how you can protect your entire code pipeline from code all the way down to prod. Before we go there, just a quick introduction on the company itself, and a few facts that I'm really, really proud of. One, you will see that we're a company with one of the highest customer sat scores in the industry. And that's coming from customers across almost 80 countries and 4,000 plus customers, right? And they're protecting all kinds of workloads on-prem, as well as cloud and containers and so on. We're backed by very strategic technology partners. A couple of them, a lot of the group in the call today will recognize Atlassian Ventures, the makers of Jira, Confluence, Bitbucket, and Okta Ventures, the makers of premier IAM solution out there in the market today. We're also recognized by Google Cloud. A lot of our discussion today will focus on the Google Cloud journey and protecting that journey. And we're also recognized as the Partner of the Year in Google Cloud. And that's on the back of supporting a wide group of services within Google Cloud. In fact, we support at least twice as many services as our nearest competitor in the market. And that's a broad suite of services that we cover today. I will walk you through that, and that forms the bones behind the solution we will have for protecting your entire code pipeline. The focus today, HYCU does provide support for a large number of SaaS applications and database as a service applications, infrastructure as a service applications. And we do offer different services to different personas within the industry. The focus today is on the software development lifecycle, DevOps folks out there, and people that are in the application management and delivery space. And I want to start with certain things that are fairly obvious to everybody, but I think some parts of that fact may not be obvious to everyone. First, I think it's important to recognize application downtime is very expensive. That's the obvious part, right? How expensive? Almost a decade ago, IDC came up with an estimate that critical application failure would actually cost you upwards of $500,000 per hour for each of these downtime incidents. And there are examples of that, right? A 20-minute crash at Alibaba Singles Day is estimated to have cost Alibaba over $1 billion in sales. And a 1 hour crash in AWS predicts that they would have a $34 million in sales alone in terms of impact. So just the sales impact for a 1 hour outage in AWS, forget all the downstream clients and their outages, but just for AWS and sales, it cost them $34 million in just an hour. And just earlier this year, I think Meta had a fairly extended outage, and that was predicted to have cost over $100 million. Look, these are big numbers from big companies, but that's not at all that's not unique. In fact, Uptime Institute ran a survey of about 2,000 random companies, and they found that the proportion of single incidents costing them over $100,000 is increased from not even being 40%, just 4 years ago, to almost 70% today. That's every failure costing you almost $100,000 in terms of potential downstream impact for your organization. And it is also important to recognize that errors and attacks just propagate faster in the world of CI/CD pipelines and high automation, right? And SolarWinds is a great example from just the last couple of years. One single poison pill, one supply chain incident led to 18,000 customer environments impacted during the famous Orion attack in SolarWinds. And is that unique? That doesn't happen every day. But guess what? Unit 42 of Palo Alto Networks decided to do on an unnamed popular service. They wanted to go and actually do a CI/CD pipeline review. And what they found was that very quickly they were able to identify 26 IAM key pairs exposed, and they were able to achieve guard mode in their cloud environment. They were able to access every single repository they had in GitLab, and they were able to access their CI/CD pipeline. If they wanted, they could actually have caused an impact to thousands of their downstream clients as well. So this story is not unique. This story is, unfortunately, if you are under an attack, this story is something that can affect you just as well as any of these companies that we've talked about. And what's interesting to note is that it's actually never been easier to disrupt the development pipeline. Why do we say that? In the past, all of this development pipeline sat in a bunch of rack servers in a single location. Yes, they had single points of failure. They were not always the best pipeline, but the single point of failures also were more often than not a single point of entry for these pipelines. And if you guarded that well, you had a better sense of security. But today, a pipeline consists of a large number of services. You could see here in a sample reference architecture, you could be using Kubernetes, you could be using Cloud Deploy, you could be using Cloud Run and Cloud Functions. You are using Git, and there are lots of services outside of Google Cloud as well that you end up using. Jira, GitHub, and CircleCI, and Terraform, and JSM. All of these things together form your pipeline today. And that means today, the use of all of these SaaS services gives you ease in terms of building a pipeline and also being able to use the best tools for the job that you're doing, but it also adds exposure. And I'm not saying that just based on theoretical data. We actually ran a survey, State of SaaS Resilience survey. We found that 61% of breaches within organizations actually originate from SaaS apps. So stealing credentials in SaaS apps where people store their identity in multiple places leads to breaches faster in many organizations. And despite that, over 90% of organizations admitted that they cannot recover their SaaS data within an hour. And that's a telling storyline today is we rely on so much SaaS today, but we don't have the same confidence to bring back data set if you're ever in a data loss scenario in SaaS. And also because it's so easy, a lot of the business leader, people up in the food chain in organizations and people up in the decision-making chain, they actually underestimate their reliance on SaaS. So they don't fully even appreciate the exposure they carry in the CI/CD pipelines that they have today. It is also to point out that third-party risk is not only relevant, it's actually prevalent. The CrowdStrike, everybody knows the CrowdStrike incident that happened not too long ago. And if you don't know the impact, just ask Delta or United, and they'll tell you what happened for a couple of days when they had to reboot practically every Windows service that they were running on. And you hear about stories like MGM, where Okta credentials were stolen and they were held ransom. And you're seeing Snowflake clients getting extorted. You're seeing even scenarios that have nothing to do with nefarious activity, or where there is a big $125 billion pension account, UniSuper, a simple misconfiguration inside Google Cloud's own pipeline leads to this UniSuper subscription getting completely deleted and blown away. And that's a $125 billion company fully being reliant on a cloud subscription. And that subscription disappears overnight. And what do you do? Luckily, they had a DevOps engineer and a system administrator who wanted all of this data to be backed up to a different cloud provider in a different account. They were able to bring it back up in a week. But how many of us do that today? How many of us protect all our data sets in a different subscription or a different cloud, and those best practices are followed? In fact, what we really want to highlight here with all of this exposure conversation is that the anatomy of an attack is usually very, very similar. They all do the same things. They go find credentials, they try to poison your pipeline, and they either hold your data sets ransom, or they will create a supply chain incident where it can cause you a lot of reputational damage through your downstream clients, right? And the mitigation steps today are seen as access control. I want to do artifact scanning. I want to do drift detection, anomaly detection. I think people have a high awareness of what they need to do to address some of these exposures. But I think what people don't recognize very often is that you need to have an insurance policy, because prevention alone is not going to be the cure. It's not a matter of when we are going to get impacted. It's not a matter of whether we're going to get impacted. It's a matter of when we are going to get impacted, right? And that means we need to ensure we're backing up your identity and IP and data sets as well, to protect against this exposure, so you can get back up and running with confidence with your data set, right? And the reason we highlighted so much on third-party risk is because there are many types of data loss in a pipeline today. And what's emerging as the highest probability and the highest revenue impact combination is the external cyber attacks and third-party risk. But that's not to right away that there are low probability incidents like deletions and version control conflicts and automation errors that can also be a serious impact on your revenue. And again, backup protects you against all of these data losses, right? Not just your third-party risks, but also just things that go wrong in our day-to-day life, right? And these are examples of various types of failures you could see in your pipeline. If you're using Kubernetes, you know that no upgrade goes smoothly, right? And there is no rollback process. In fact, more often than not, the restores are used when upgrades go wrong and you don't see something that you expect to see past an upgrade, and you don't notice it for sometimes a few days, and you kind of have to go back to the previous configuration. And similarly, simple scripts, simple actions could lead to data loss in Entra ID or Jira or Cloud SQL, and it happens very often. In Terraform, you could lose a state file, and that could lead to a lot of duplicated and orphaned resources if you don't protect those things across these services. So what I think we want to highlight here is this is not to say people don't do backups today, but they back up a very small portion of your pipeline. Oftentimes, that's just your prod network and a couple of other services here and there, but not the entire pipeline. And that's something that we need to make sure that we have a solution in place to protect everything in this pipeline. And that's what our cloud is for. So I'll give you 5 minutes of what our cloud is, and we'll actually show you a demo of how this works across very many tools in your pipeline today, and Marco will lead that, right? So what is our cloud? First, our cloud for Google Cloud. And I'm really proud to say that we actually support over a dozen services in Google Cloud today. I think the next nearest competitor in the marketplace probably wouldn't support even 5, right? So there's a wide swath of services that we do protect, and that goes from compute, storage, so compute engine, Kubernetes engine, cloud functions, serverless compute, and also storage, Google Cloud Storage. And we support a large swath of databases as well: Cloud SQL, AlloyDB, BigQuery, Bigtable, and for your pipeline, artifact registries as well. We talked about how a lot of what we create is artifacts, and that needs to be protected as well. And all of these services are actually supported by our cloud, and we deliver a one-click restore across all of these services. We deliver cross-regional protection for all of these services, and we deliver ransomware protection. We're one of the few vendors that actually supports the object lock capability in Google Cloud Storage, and we provide ransomware protection as well for our customers using our cloud for these services. But as we talked about, pipeline is not just everything that runs in Google Cloud. You often have SaaS services that run alongside that. So from build to run, from code to prod, your GitHub, Jira, GitLab, Terraform, Circle CI, all of these tools can also be protected from us. And your identity, so not just your IP. IP is often code in a lot of organizations, and prod is where you keep a lot of data in your organizations. But the gateway to both your IP and data is your identity, right? And we protect that identity as well and help you get back up and running if ever your identity management platform is the one that gets impacted. So we really, from soup to nuts, we cover everything in the service. And people say a picture is worth 1,000 words. And I joke that with my accent, it's worth a whole lot more. And what we really want to walk you through is, we told you we could do everything. We'd love to show you how we do that and how easy it is in our setup. Marco, please take over.
Thanks, Satya. All right, time to see an actual demo. HYCU product live in action. Let me share my screen. You let me know if you can't see it, but here we go. So HYCU, our cloud, is really a data protection as a service platform. What does this mean? First of all, it means you subscribe from your Google, Amazon, from HYCU.com, and in a matter of minutes, you're already at this screen and you can log in. You can log in with your favorite identity provider without any issues and come to HYCU subscription, right? What you do here is, first of all, I want to show you our graph, which is part of our cloud, which is completely free of charge. What this tool does, it allows you to see inside your infrastructure. What does this mean? It uses discovery services such as Okta or Azure AD, identity providers, which to authenticate with other applications. We use this to discover and show you what exactly you have in the environment. And then we compartmentalize this nicely, so to show you, hey, these are your EM applications, these are your social applications, and you can then also yourself, as you continue progressing with backups and protecting all of these SaaS applications, you can group them all together in a way that makes sense for you. Another thing which we show here is we show you what kind of protection the SaaS has built in itself. The biggest misconception in today's world is that SaaS is protected. It's in the cloud, it's miraculously protected. It's not. Everybody, Satya also mentioned this. It's really a matter of you protecting your own data. It's not a matter of the SaaS service provider to protect your data. And therefore, we offer you here a view into, can you do a self-service recovery? Can you do automation of any backups? Can you choose how often to do backups? Can you put them somewhere in an isolated storage with immutability, protecting against ransomware? Majority, as you'll see, is majority of the SaaS applications don't actually offer this. And this is what we also show you. So you can use this tool really for yourself and to also for your management to show them, hey, we really should be protecting some of these things. Now, that being said, HYCU is an our cloud. HYCU our cloud is a platform, which means we allow not that only we develop backup for many of these SaaS modules, we also do this with partners. Because how can we scale to thousands of SaaS applications which are out there today? And obviously, HYCU supporting by far the most SaaS applications today in the industry. So as I scroll down here, usually a lot of customers find and partners find many different SaaS applications which they didn't even think they have in the environment. And it's really a powerful tool, right? So what you can do also is based on some categories like identity and an example like this, or you can just sort, for example, for Google or Amazon or other public clouds, you can really group what you want to see. And as you can see here for DevOps world, there's a lot of Google, as an example here, applications that HYCU can support. And the only thing to start protecting is to show us more about this application. We'll show you everything about it, some guides, and then you're able to configure the SaaS applications. How you configure each of the SaaS applications is really specific for each of them separately, but it's usually a very simple process, right? Which actually just requires HYCU to be given some API access or an API token, allowing us to actually communicate with the SaaS application itself in order to back it up. And it's that simple. Once you configure this, you click Save, HYCU is going to go in and discover all of your workloads. And you don't have to back up only the SaaS applications. You can obviously add your public clouds as well, like Google, Amazon, Azure, and similar. And if we now go into to see how it looks like, once you add this, HYCU automatically discovers your workloads. So this means, as you'll see here, I have my Amazon, my Google VMs discovered. I have buckets, which I use. Usually in DevOps world, you have some VMs where things are running. Then you have buckets, which keep the storage, keeps the data stored safely. Then you have applications, which HYCU will automatically discover, such as GKE, SAP HANA, and obviously all of the various different SaaS applications as well. So everything is now neatly discovered, and the only thing is left to protect it, right? So what do we do? What does the protection mean in the first place? It means that we take this data and we back it up somewhere offsite with immutability, really kept safeguarded against any bad actors, right? Or even protecting yourself from yourself as well. So as you can see here, it's very easy to add cloud storage into HYCU. Do you want to add it? Google Cloud, Wasabi, Amazon S3, OVH, a number of, soon, next release, we also support on-prem S3 targets, such as Dell ECS, Cloudia, Nutanix objects, and similar, right? And the only thing needed is for you to add the storage. You'll have an icon here also discovering that HYCU says, hey, this particular target is immutable, meaning object locking is enabled on it, and nobody can delete this data, which is what you want in today's world against ransom. So this is where we keep the data. It's completely owned by the customer, by you, and you have full control over it, where it's kept, which regions. It's all your targets. The next thing and the last thing to get everything done is actually to configure a policy. So what a policy is, it's very simple. It's a rule of HYCU backups, which tells us how often do we want to back up. So we want to back up once a day, once an hour. This is where you say, how often do you want to back up? And you say, I want to keep this data, for example, in Google Cloud Storage, and that's it. I want to keep it for 4 weeks. That's your very basic regular backup, right? A lot of times customers also want to keep the data on a different cloud or a different region altogether. And this is always even on-prem. And with using HYCU copies option or archiving options, you can have this 3-to-1 famous data protection words, so that you can really have 3 copies of your data in different setups, in different environments, right? And once you have this policy, it's just a matter of assigning it to the complete environment. So you don't have to really make it complex. You can make it very simple and just deploy one or assign one policy to all of your instances, buckets, or part of your, let's say, DevOps environments which you wanna use. And what we will do then is we will simply start backups and allow you then recovery of these applications, be it instances, be it buckets in a granular file recovery, be it applications, where we, for example, in the case of CI/CD and DevOps world, containers are very important. So what HYCU does is we will integrate with GK in a special way. We will discover the applications and we'll focus on the app. So you'll see here on the left side, we discover the application and you can assign a policy to the app itself. And what HYCU will do is then we will granularly allow you to recover your data. You can restore the whole app. You can restore maybe just the YAML files if something is lost, but more than often, you're really focused on the storage. And if a disk is lost, if persistent storage is lost, you can really recover just a single disk or more of them into back into the container or back into a different cluster altogether, different namespace. So many variety of options. And HYCU abstracts all the complexity of containers and really remaps things during recovery. And in a similar fashion, things work also for SaaS applications, right? So if you're backing up, if you're using LODB, BigQuery, Cloud Run, Cloud SQL, right? Many of these cloud applications which HYCU supports, the point of all of this is always to provide granular recovery. So if you lost your Cloud SQL, you don't have to restore the whole instance, you can restore just a single database. If you lost, for example, you're using Terraform in your DevOps environment, it's very easy to mistakenly remove a configuration or a variable or something in this direction. So as you can see here, each of these SaaS applications which HYCU supports has the logic for that particular application. And it's very native to it. And you can see from the restore menu just how granular HYCU can get you. And this is really the essence and the wealth of having such a backup platform, because it's very hard to restore the whole thing if one small thing is lost. And this is where this comes very, very handy, right? Also, what you can do is, for example, this is one of my DevOps environment. I have a different environment which is for my engineering. And this is something we call HYCU protection set, which actually allow you to separate the environments completely from one another. And you can have them separate set of targets, separate set of policies, separate set of users as well, which can have granular access to HYCU. So how does the user management look like? You have IAM for each of these protection set. And as you add users into HYCU, you always have the ability to select what type of role they have. So perhaps you want to have self-service recovery for some of the DevOps teams, so they don't have to call IT every time they mistakenly deleted something or they're doing a patch or whatever is happening in the environment. They can always, if you just give them a restore operator, they can perform this on their own. So really, it's a role-based user management, which allows you also to have this multi-tenancy baked in. Now, this can be in service provider space exposed to customers and having protection set per customers, or for organizations which really want to have separate environments for their teams. You can clearly segregate this, as I have here, for example, in the engineering world. And if I dive into the engineering, now you can see again, very similarly, is it Bitbucket? Is it Confluence? Is it the famous Jira, right? So all of these you can restore granularly. And the point is, here you have the restore points, which means how long back do I want to go? The accident happened 4 days ago. This is where I want to do a restore from. And again, you can go in and select, hey, I want to restore just an attachment, for example, because I lost an attachment. I don't have to restore a whole Jira. I don't have to call Atlassian to give me a big zip file, unzip it, try to get this recovered in some way or fashion. You can just natively restore a single attachment back into the ticket itself. There's nothing else needed, right? Or you lost a bug or an epic. And in a similar fashion, right, the things work also for the other things, right? Let's, for example, if I look at GitLab or GitHub, right? It's the same thing. Again, the granularity in which we go is different for each of these SaaS applications. And another important thing when you think about it, we're all protecting the SaaS applications, but the doors to our world of DevOps and to our companies entry ID or Okta. And this is something you really want to protect at all costs, right? And HYCU again offers the highest in the industry granularity on these. So if you lost a user, you lost just the enterprise application which was configured, for example, you can very easily get this back. Again, granular, right? Similar with Okta and all the other applications. So what HYCU brings you is really wealth of support for all of these SaaS applications, which allow you to look at your DevOps environment as one and simply protect all of it as such. So protect all of the SaaS applications and the instances and the buckets and maybe GKE, whatever you want. And you can back it up cross-cloud, from one cloud to another, have a secondary copy in Wasabi, immutability, everything else. And everything that I've showed you, you can nicely get reports on this as well. For example, on compliance status. So am I compliant? Am I not compliant? You can have different types of charts and similar things, right? And time ranges. So really flexible reporter, which is baked into the product itself, so you can get your daily mail and not even have to log in to the system. So HYCU, really a holistic platform, holistic data protection as a service for your DevOps environment. So hope you liked it, and obviously we're happy to answer any questions. But before that, Satya, back to you.
Can you guys see my screen? Perfect. So again, I think what we want to highlight is that we actually protect over 80 as a service applications. It's not just what you have in the cloud, but also all the SaaS applications that you tend to use to create your pipeline. And we do offer services across many personas. So if you do end up looking at HYCU and to solve your pipeline, but you're wondering whether we back up this workload or that workload, certainly just go to our webpage. There's a search button there, type in the workload name, and you can actually quickly see whether we provide support or not. But the odds are very high that we support a workload that you're trying to protect. And we'd love to hear from you if there's something that we don't today. Our list is growing very rapidly, and we'd love to hear from you as well. Also, super easy to get started with a free trial. You've got the QR code here, and you can get there through our website as well. And certainly, if there's any interest, please do take a look at our solution brief. It goes through all the services we support and kind of what type of support we offer for those services and what use cases and pain points we resolve. But we'd love to hear from you if there's any interest. And I think we addressed the questions that came through on chat, at least we were addressing at one point. Anything that is left, John, in terms of questions that you're seeing?
Yeah, there's a couple here just came in right at the end here. Dawn, this one's from Dawn. Can we use the same platform to support on-premises workloads as well?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. We do support a very large number of workloads that run on-prem as well. In fact, that's how we originally started, and certainly added a lot of cloud and container workloads, past that. But with one platform, you can absolutely protect your on-prem workloads as well as your cloud workloads and SaaS workloads as well.
Excellent. Got one here from Rob. Does HYCU offer cross-region protection for GCP data services such as Cloud SQL and BigQuery?
Yeah, we do. We rely on export capabilities kind of built into these platforms, and use that to move your data sets to another region. You can also set up multi-region buckets and back.
So the point is, usually these tools don't even have this built in, so you can't have an export into a cross-region, but we do have our own ability to do cross-region copies. And as I told you, you can have a secondary copy even in Amazon if you want. But you want to do it in a different region, and then you can recover. There's also a process how to recover into another region, for example, the BigQuery. So.
Agreed.
Excellent. All right, we got another one from Jake here. We use both AWS and GCP. Does HYCU allow you to manage services in both clouds through one interface?
Yes,
definitely.
I think Marco was actually showing this. We didn't click on some of those workloads, but you could see in SaaS applications, we have a large number of, I think, about 14 different services in AWS that we protect today. Everything from CloudFormation to EC2 to database workloads that
you see here maybe in the screen already. Yeah, but you will applications you have on a number of applications. So it's really from this. You can send a single policy, same policy to all the workloads at the same time, and look at it all together, right? Completely abstracting which cloud you're on. It doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day.
Okay.
True. Again, same policy engine, same solution, same platform. You can protect on-prem, AWS, GCP. I think when Marco started his demo, you had this tagline, data anywhere, protected everywhere. And that is truly the case with our platform.
All right, excellent. And we got one just snuck in here right at the end here. Do you offer, this from John, do you offer ways we can integrate HYCU backup policies through Terraform?
Marco, you want to take that one? I know you're the expert in this.
Yeah, we have a
The answer is
Terraform
yes, but
cloud provider.
Marco can give you more information.
Yeah, correct. We have a Terraform cloud provider. It's not published yet, but we can send it your way, and then you can make it. You can make practically all configurations, policies, assign backups, define users, and so on. Start restores even. So pretty much anything from Terraform as well. So platform is built API first. So everything's exposed through APIs, and we do have the cloud Terraform providers.
Excellent. I think that is all the questions we have for today.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate your time and attention, and look forward to hearing from you if there's any interest in protecting these workloads.